Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. We're here with John Kratky. We're here to talk about his upcoming awesome comic called The Long Death and Everything in Between. I had a chance to check out some of these previews of the interiors, and this is some spooky work, John. I know it's a big pivot from home free, and I'm excited to see you kind of diving more and more into this element. John, what's been up since the last time you've been on the show?
Oh man, just a lot of work, I think the last time I was on was home free issue 4. So, we released finished that series. And then I've just been working on building up for this campaign so that I can get some horror stuff out there. Just making a big switch because it's usually crime action stuff that I'm doing. So now that it's going to be horror and crime, so I'm trying to find that audience as well now.
So has horror and crime always kind of just been like your sweet tooth for writing? It seems like a lot of work that has came out from you has kind of centered around that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Ever since I was a kid, like horror is my first love, I've loved just like, I think maybe the first things that I've seen in life, I remember my dad showing me a clip from the movie Heavy Metal when I was a kid. And it was like the World War II one where there's just like these zombie World War II soldiers. And it was like the coolest thing I've ever seen. And that's just like imprinted in my memory. So like, I think that's really where it all started, He couldn't show me the rest of the movie because there's lots of nudity and stuff in it, but he showed me that scene. Yeah, seriously. But I just remember sitting on the couch and like, watching like Godzilla movies with him and everything. So really horror has always been there. The crime stuff, I started watching like film noirs and like stuff when I was like 18, a little older. That's when I started getting into that, like just probably from Alfred Hitchcock movies and everything. But the horror has always been there. And it's just the darker side of humans. That's what's really attractive about it all. And just monsters are cool. I love monsters. So it's been the both of them has been like the at the forefront of like my interests for a long time.
Yeah, I remember being a kid, being introduced to Child's Play, going as Chucky for Halloween. What's up with dads and just like showing their kids the most like horrific stuff, like when they're just like sponges? I remember Demon Night from Tales from the Crypt. So that nice little scene in there for a young adolescent child, by the way. Shout out to my dad for letting me see the nudity in that one. But
Right.
Something about horror, and I love how horror and like comedy have like kind of the same setup, the same punchlines, right? Like the way the jokes land and the way the horror lands are kind of similar in nature. What have you done that you felt has aided you in your writing with like the more of the horror aspect?
I think with horror, like I've just consumed so much, I think I know the genre pretty well. And I think that's what helps a lot, just knowing a genre. And like the main thing actually, I didn't for a long time I didn't want to write horror because I didn't know what to do with it, and I didn't want to do something just because it's like I just didn't want to do anything unless it was special to me. So I did a comic years ago. My friend Tobias, who helped me out with a tear on The Long Death, we used to make comics together all the time, and he came up with this character called the Bavarian Hammer. It was like this big blacksmith, and we created a world around him that was kind of an older world with like, older creatures in it. And I was like, I kind of like writing like in this older world because I grew up loving like the Universal horror movies, the Hammer horror films, the Edgar Allan Poe films they made in the 60s. And I just loved that world of like, it was like the 1700s or 1800s, and things were a little simpler, and there was magic, and just like witches and creepy stuff like that. So once I did that comic, I was like, oh, I know the direction I want to go now. And now, so I've created this series that I'm going to do called Forgotten Folklore, which they all take place in an older time with older type creatures like goblins and everything. And it's just like it's a world of humans and devils where they coexist together. But the devils aren't necessarily always the bad guys. You know, the humans are also part of that corrupt world.
I love
So
that.
yeah, that's, you know, so that really helped me a lot doing that comic with Tobias and him coming up with this character and just really showing me, oh, I like writing in this kind of world. So now that's where I'm going to stick my horror stuff. It's all like my crime is more in the modern world.
Hmm.
My horror is all like in older times.
So, I mean, talking about your other series, Home Free, it's a pretty big. It feels like a pretty big difference from The Long Death. For
Right.
anyone who's maybe tuning in for the first time, kind of give us a little bit of the synopsis with that series.
Home Free takes place in a world not too different from our own. It's a modern. It's actually it's semi in the future, but not too much. It's about a woman named Sarah who's running from her past, but also the country as it's falling apart around her. So she's on a road trip. There's an incident that happens that pushes her onto the road to escape Oregon. So she's going down to Mexico but the country is also kind of at this tipping point. And there's just like this sort of a civil war kind of brewing in the background, and she just gets caught in the middle of it as she's trying to escape. So it's a lot about her confronting her past, but also, you know, she runs a lot in her life. I have a history with this character. I wrote like a novella with her. I have another whole graphic novel with her. She's done a lot of running. So this this story is kind of a very personal thing for her, where she has to make some real decisions on, you know, what kind of life she wants to live.
Yeah, and what's up with everyone wanting to run to Mexico when they commit, you know, a crime or running from something? Like, does that actually work? I've never done it. I've never tried
Right.
it, but it seems like it's a pretty, you know, viable idea.
Right, right. I think she just wants to get as far away from the problem, but also with the country on the verge of what's going on. Just getting out of the country is a part of that big push for her, you know? But yeah, I don't
So,
know. I don't know if that actually works in real life, but it's a great story trope.
hmm The Long Death is a OGN gothic fairy tale. 80 pages of standalone graphic novel that follows two children into the woods. Very scary scenario to be a child. I mean, as a grown adult, like I would not want to be stuck in like a thing of woods. You know, at any point. Sometimes that could be very scary. Facing the Butcher and the Crone. I mean, shoot, this sounds like it's going to get pretty horrific. The interiors are just gorgeous. Who is all involved with the creative team on this?
So I wrote it. The artist is Anna Wysick. She's from Poland. Interesting collaboration with her, because I was supposed to work with her on a previous graphic novel I did called Getting Back to Normal. I think she just has a lot of commitments, because obviously you see her art, she's amazing. So we just couldn't get together on that one. So I started following her and just looking at her art, and like I loved it so much that this story actually came out of just loving her art and wanting to write something specifically for her, which was kind of a scary task because she had no commitment to it. I just wrote it and presented it to her and was like, hey, I wrote this based on, just being inspired by your work, so I hope we can work together on this. And she agreed. So that was great. It all worked out. And then the letterer on this one is Eduardo Camacho, who I've worked with on I've been working with him for years. He's the letterer I work with. He's my go-to guy. So, but Anna, like if you look at her art, you will just be astounded by her visuals, and it's throughout the whole book. And it just creates this like dreamlike gothic fantasy world. And she was just like, it was so good that we got together on it, because this is who I was inspired by, Yeah.
And so we have Hansel and Gretel meets the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What an interesting combination. Give us a little bit of what we can expect in this book.
So it's a story about there's these two children. They're strangers to each other. Their town has been ravaged by plague, and they're desperate, so Victor's staring out his window one morning and sees her walking by, and he has nothing. So he knows who she is, because she's this girl with this beautiful singing voice who sings basically in the local churches, and and he sung at his, or she sung at his mother's funeral. So he's instantly attracted to her. So he, goes out and meets her, and they agree to become companions and escape the town because there's just nothing left for them. So they go around to the path to the woods to what their plan is to go to West Arcanshire, where her aunt lives, in hopes to finding refuge from the plague, basically. So the story goes from there to basically them desperately needing some food. So when Victor smells some stew coming from this dark, spooky looking farmhouse in the woods off the beaten path, he runs to it, and then from there, bad things just start happening. And that's where the Texas Chainsaw Massacre aspect comes in. It's basically takes very dark turns.
So, I mean, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is pretty graphic, pretty gory. How much of that are we going to see in this? Has it been kind of tamed down a little bit, or can we expect this book to get pretty bloody?
You know, I got to say, one thing that a misconception about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's got some really dark and like grotesque stuff in it. There's like bones everywhere, and then you got like basically, you got Leatherface wearing skin and everything. But the gore level isn't actually that high in that movie if you watch it. Like, it's kind of it's what. There's actually, I guess it's more creepy, I guess, like in the things that they do in that movie. So I take kind of that aspect. This isn't a gory horror story. There's some stuff in there, that's definitely disturbing. It's more disturbing in themes. And it's kind of works like that, where there's things that will happen in this that will kind of put you on edge, but like it's not a bloodbath. Not this one. And most of my stories aren't necessarily bloodbaths. I like my violence to like kind of like pop and be meaningful. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be just gratuitous. I like it to happen suddenly, quick, and you see something. Maybe it's a panel, maybe it's 2 panels, but I don't like to like linger on it, because I think the shock value, that's great, that's fun. I like exploitation movies and stuff, but I think that it's more meaningful when it's like sudden and it's like not lingered on, because it's like life is can be that meaningless, where 1 second you're here, then like the next second you get a cleaver in your head, and you're done.
And that would suck too. I mean, because you'd feel that for a little bit until your brain decided to shut down. So we have Iris and Victor. And tell us a little bit about the two baddies in this. Just the names alone seem pretty sinister, but what can we expect from them?
The names, like in this book, it comes from very much the child's perspective. So all the adult figures in this don't necessarily, there's no Charlie or Joe in this, you know what I mean? It's all the butcher, the crone, the archer, the servant, you know what I mean? So everyone like just has like their titles are their names, basically. So the butcher is who he is. He's a bad man, there's not a better word to describe him. He's a big hulking figure. Think of like Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers. Very imposing. I guess the more modern Michael Myers. He's very imposing. The Old Crone is just that. She's like a classic old witchy type character, who just like has like nefarious undertones to her. And there's not like, this isn't like a dialogue heavy comic. There's plenty of dialogue to kind of really into the story, but it's like these characters, it's more about their actions than like their words in this, for sure.
So let's go ahead, and speaking of actions, let's head over to the campaign and check out what all the hype is about. For everyone that is watching, I'm going to be dropping this link in chat. Be sure to check it out with us if you're able to, and if not, you're unable to back, put this on Facebook and Twitter. Blue Sky. Is it Blue Ski or Blue Sky?
I think it's Blue Sky, right?
Yeah, something like that. Check out that cloud in the sky. You could share this for free anywhere on social media, and word of mouth just helps tremendously. So share away if you're able to. We're looking at The Long Death, a complete OGN Gothic fairy tale. Let's check out some of these interiors, some of these panels. This is just gorgeous. What does the collaborative process look like with you and the artist? Did you have a good idea of how you wanted this to look? Or did you kind of let them take the wheel on some of the designs?
Yeah, there's discussions in the beginning. She had me make like a mood board kind of,
Oh, I
so
love
I'd take
that.
like
That's
a bunch of
cool.
different images of like things that were inspiring or kind of like in the direction of the look I wanted to go. There was some original character designs she did, which I'll put in the deluxe digital copy of this. That didn't necessarily weren't the direction I wanted, so we worked on them. And then once the character designs were in place, I think the world kind of grew around that. And yeah, we worked well together. She's very easy to work with, very professional. I mean, she's an amazing artist. She's if you're familiar with Mary Shelley's School for Monsters, that graphic novel series,
Hmm.
she's the artist on that. So and she's done a ton of books. Her art's very recognizable. So yeah, no, we collaborated well. She always gives me like little storyboarded versions of the pages first, so that like I can, we can kind of make sure that like everything's being interpreted correctly, and then she just goes for it, presents me a beautiful page, and I'm just like, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
I love this art style too. It almost feels like, I don't even know how to really describe, rustic in a
Yeah,
sense, like how it just you see the detailed, but it's not like overly detailed. And
right.
the way the artist just plays with the blackness, like surrounding, especially the foliage right here, like looking down on them from like the tree branches, is such an awesome perspective.
Right. No, it's really beautiful. I mean, yeah, some of it's like almost looks like a picture, like that panel you had up there with going through the archway. It's like almost like an old picture.
Hmm.
But yeah, she's pretty amazing.
And the apple right here too seems very nefarious. This introduction to the butcher is so awesome too. I just love like the splatter on the butcher knife and
Right.
the chopping, the sound effect there, and everything. How it almost looks like a Polaroid picture that has distortion on it,
Right.
and just like the
Yeah.
splashes of colors too. Just right here, such a cool detail.
Yeah. And she added this color scheme that was almost like it's like watercolor like, and it's
Yeah.
like really really cool. Like yeah, we I wanted to go minimal with the color on this. Usually, all my comics have been, I think, that I've printed so far, besides the Goblet at the Black Oak, which we can get into a little bit too with this campaign, because this is the first time it's available in print. It's an older web comic of mine, but most of my comics are in black and white. So I wanted to go minimal with the color to kind of really create the mood of the world.
Mm-hmm. We have the introduction of the archer right here with it looks like a plague doctor mask, makes it even more scarier.
Right.
And I really, I love how, you have like your bluer palettes, for this scene, and then like in the forest, it's like darker and purple. Like,
Right.
any special symbolism behind that, or was that kind of just at the artist's discretion?
It's at her discretion, but I would say like because the archer has that fire going, and he's bringing a torch with him, so you know what I mean. That's the colors kind of coming off of that, and
Mm-hmm.
just definitely some of the colder scenes, like with the because it's leading all to West Arcanshire, where there's this group of elites and everything. So I think their color scheme is a little bluer because it's like it's a colder environment for sure. It's
Mm-hmm.
just big, um, this big sort of empty house and everything. So or mansion. I think that's where that comes from for
And
sure.
these panel layouts are phenomenal
And
too.
those are grayer in the old farmhouse because just like that mood and that
Mm-hmm.
darkness in there.
All right, let's check out some of these covers. So the first one is, I just love this, like
Yeah.
just the coloring, the way the branches and the roots kind of like just like circle around them. Such an awesome cover. And it's going to be a hardcover too.
Yeah, so we got soft
That's so
cover and
cool.
hardcover.
That
Exactly.
is
And
so
I plan
cool.
to do like a spot UV on the hardcover.
Hmm.
Um, so that like, it's just I don't know, there's something about that cover. I think if it's got a spot UV and it's got a little flash to it when you move it, it's gonna look really cool.
Yeah. Then we have variant covers here. So a good look at the butcher chopping a
This
leg.
Yeah. This one's by the creep from 6 Feet Deep. Or AKA Tyler Pennington is
Hmm.
his name. He's a fantastic artist. Honestly, he's like the modern day like Bernie Wrightson type artist.
Hmm.
He does all black and white pen and ink style stuff. He does oil paintings and stuff too, but he's also a tattoo artist. I think this guy is just making art all day long. I've been following him for years, and it's been like a dream to work with him. So I really hope down the line, as this Forgotten Folklore series, hopefully the success off of this one, I want to continue with them, and I would hope that I can do a variant cover with him on most of these in the future, because he's one probably top 5 favorite artists working right now. He's amazing.
That's so cool. Let's check out some of these rewards too. We have 13 Tiers of Terror. So we have Tier 1 digital copy for $10, 80-page graphic novel on a tablet or a computer or digital reading platform of your choice. Tier 2 at 20, we have the Long Death Deluxe Digital, and then the Goblet at the Black Oak, which is 52 pages of folk horror fun, 130 pages altogether. Tier 3, we have the Long Death Standard softcover plus digital at $28. Tier 4 will be the Long Death variant softcover and digital at $33. Some awesome tiers here. We have the standard hardcover coming hot off the press at $35, and then at $6 you can get the Long Death variant hardcover at $41. 7 and 8 we have Forgotten Folklore packages, so softcover at $42, and then the hardcover at $50. And then tell us a little bit about the Forgotten Folklore package. What's all going to be included in this?
So that's going to have the Long Death, obviously, Goblet at the Black Oak, which is an earlier comic that I did. I had printed out. It's going to be it's a floppy, but it's 52 pages. Basically, it's like a shorter graphic novel, and it's about it takes place in an older time. It's based on like a little mythology that I created about a bartender who works in a bar, and there's this goblet that's been there forever that's just filled with some drink that, as legend says, that a goblin ordered it, and he said he'd come back for it, so nobody has ever touched it in fear of like upsetting this goblin. So Luis does not believe this story, so he drinks from the goblet. Goblin appears, and then doom comes his way when he's the goblin marks him with an X on his forehead, so that all creatures know that if this guy comes along and breaks any of your laws, that he's fair game to torment. So it's kind of like inspired a bit. That one's like more like Evil Deadish. It's like a roller coaster of like terror. It's really fun.
And then we have 9, the Devil's Little Sister print package. So you'll get that Forgotten Folklore, you'll get that Long Death, and then you'll get a sexy little print as well. Is this a character from the Long Death, or where's this character from?
So that is, she's an Instagram gothic model that I collaborated with on this. I just wanted to do something a little different, to kind of reach out to her fans, and so I had Michelle Lodge of the Home Free series create a print of her. So we're just kind of including it, just like something a little different for the campaign. If everybody wants like a really cool print, I actually have a copy right here. I just wanted to show it off because
the hands are so cool, dude.
All the blood and red on this has foil stamping on it, so it's a really cool print.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Michelle did an awesome job on it, so that's on offer. Yeah.
All right, let me stretch this back out, and then so we have the die cut Halloween decorations package. So some awesome die cuts here. I love these characters so much. These are all from the Long Death, I'm assuming.
Yeah. These are done by the artist I was speaking of before, Tobias. He did the die cuts of these. I actually have the proof copies of them too.
Give me one second. Let me enlarge you real quick.
Yeah. Sorry, I have to keep on going back and forth.
That's so cool.
Yeah, they're great, man. Because I love old school vintage Halloween decorations. My wife and I are nerds. We kind of collect them. So I wanted to make my own with this campaign that they don't necessarily have to be known things, but they just look cool.
Yeah.
So we made those for this campaign as well. Tobias did a great job. He just has like a more like poppy kind of like fun design with them. So
Hmm.
they're a little different from what they are in the comic.
Then we have the retail tier, which will be half price and free shipping. You get 3 copies of the soft cover of the Long Death, 1 copy of the hardcover, 1 copy of the Long Death hardcover with cover art by Tyler, and then 4 copies of the Goblet at the Black Oak. As well, we have the Forgotten Folklore Bundle of Horror, which is going to get you a whopping amount of goodies here. You'll get the Long Death, the Goblet, those die cuts, the stickers, a bookmark, and the logo button too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, the Coffee Time comic bundle, $13 at 120. The entire Coffee Time comics library in its entirety at this point. How many pages do you think are in this?
And all together,
Mm-hmm.
I should have done the math. A lot.
Yeah, probably at least 500 to
1,
600. It looks
2,
like
3, probably like about 375. But then there's also the 3 novellas too. So there's lots of reading. You're gonna be really entertained for a long time.
And is that all? These are all digital or physical as well? Physical. Okay, wow. For 120, that is not a bad price at all. We got some awesome milestone rewards too. At 75 backers, you'll get a desktop and mobile wallpaper. 100 backers will receive a Long Death sticker. 150 will receive 3 free comics. 200 backers get the soft cover to unlock the spot UV coating. And then at 250, a new die cut decoration will be commissioned. And then here is the model for that print as well. I love how you guys even did the thigh tattoo too.
Right.
Awesome.
Gotta get all the details.
All right, so there's everything in its entirety and a look at the creative team too.
Could you do me like? Could you reload this page? Did you have this up before?
Yeah.
Oh, could you reload it? Because I did just this morning. I updated with Michelle Lodge has a cover. I wanted to show that off a little bit because I just updated it. We're only printing 25 copies. It should be with all the available covers down there. Just want to make sure it actually loaded.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
Perfect. Yeah, so she did a cover as well. We're only doing 25 copies. So 5 as add-on, 10 in a standalone tier, and then 10 with the print she did with the Devil's Little Sister. And they're all gonna be signed by Michelle, as well as the print tier will have the print signed by Michelle as well. So
that's so cool.
So yeah, I just threw that in there today.
All right, so there's the campaign in its entirety. John, for anyone who might be on the fence about backing this project, what would you like to say to them directly to kind of help push them over that hump?
I just think you're gonna love it. I really do. It's fairy tale storytelling. You know, it's very very simple, but like it's also got some depth to it. I think anybody can relate to it, especially you know, there's a little bit of thematically speaking, it goes into a little bit of like, you know, when we have people in power that have a little bit of an authoritarian bent that are controlling our lives. So there's a little bit of that, but also just like the flow of the story, it flows like a dream, and it's just really, I think, visually and with the writing, it flows together really nicely. And if you like horror, you're going to love this and The Goblet at the Black Oak. It's a series of forgotten folklore that I plan to do. They're all standalone graphic novels. They're all going to be separate stories. And I want to be able to continue that because I have a lot of stories. I already have 2 scripts written that I want to get out there and start creating. But I really got to see success for this campaign to really push me to be able to do that. So I would say if you love horror, I really think you're going to like this story.
So John, for anyone that is looking to add a little bit of horror to their writing and keep a nice balance of storytelling and the horror aspect, what would be your biggest piece of advice to kind of help them along the way?
I would say, like, you know, what did it for me was really finding exactly the kind of horror stories that I wanted to tell. That was really important to me. You know, so me like jumping back in time and just telling like older stories, but you can always keep your themes modern, you know, like if you want to tell, like reflect the world today, it doesn't matter when you set these things, because like, even though the world's completely different from like what it was in the 1700s, human nature remains the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things don't change in the bigger scope of how we act and who we are. So it's always going to be reflective of the world you live in, no matter what time you set it in. So just do something you love, you know, and I think it's going to come out. It's going to come out the best as if you're not trying to force yourself into like, you know, doing a certain style, you know, and just like, you know, make it fun, because horror, you know, it's dour sometimes it's gloomy, but like horror is also a fun like genre, you know.
Yeah.
It's like you watch certain movies to see the craziness, and you're looking for those moments. If you really love horror, the gore's not going to make you like, it's going to make you laugh. Like
Mm-hmm.
whenever I watch like a horror movie, like, you know, that those parts always make me laugh, because I'm like, they did something crazy, that's fun, you know. So make your horror fun.
No, absolutely. So last but not least, what are you consuming outside of creating? You know, what TV shows, what books, what comics, you know, what have you been up to?
Comics wise, I just like I don't have them all, but there's the EC comics, they've redone them, I think through Ion Press. Is that what it's called? And they're doing like, it's called Epitaphs of the Abyss,
Mm-hmm.
Cruel Universe. So it's like the new versions of Tales from the Crypt and Weird Science and all those. Those have been really fun. I've been digging those. The art's great. Some really good storytelling on them. Movies, like last month was October, so every year that's like a really big month for me. I watch horror all year,
Yeah.
but I dive in and try to just experience new movies that I haven't seen before. My wife and I do like a horror movie marathon just to kind of like take a day off and just sit
Mm-hmm.
on the couch and hang out with each other. The best one I saw was honestly this movie from the 1960s called The Curse of the Crying Woman. It was a horror movie from Mexico that was just like perfect for me, because it
Yeah.
was gothic, it had cobwebs, it was like in an old house, there was witches, the music was great, it had spooky sounds, you know. It was like, a lot of people would look at it and maybe think it was a little campy, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
just that atmosphere it created with all that stuff together just was like perfect. And to be honest, like I've been so into this campaign, reading like just like a book or anything, just that's out the window right now, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
That doesn't even exist. Like even any kind of entertainment, just like my life is spent like on the computer working and just like taking time off of my life, you know.
No, absolutely. And the thing about those campy movies too is at one point that was the cream of the crop, right?
Right.
Like I feel like we've really grown desensitized as like a society, as consumers. And we get so used to just seeing like just over the top, you know, productions that we forget, you know, that 40, 50 years ago, that type of stuff was probably, you know, high budget. You know, it was done with what they had at the time to make the most of it. And I feel like those movies have a lot more, I wouldn't say value, but, you know, it's like the underdog, right? Like you cherish them a little bit more because of how hard they had to work to get there.
Right. I love older films, and you know, I would say if you're ever gonna dive into an older film and you're someone who watches more new stuff, you just gotta let go a little bit and just get into like the era and just remember the times they were made, and just like,
Mhm.
you know, let yourself go and just enjoy what's happening on the screen before you, you know.
Absolutely. So everyone watching, right there is a link. Be sure to check out this campaign. If you're able to back, we would love to see it. But if not, simply put this on Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, anywhere you can. Word of mouth is 100% free. With that being said, it is time for us to wrap up. John, thank you so much for swinging by. Everyone watching, I hope you have a fantastic day. But most importantly, keep it geekly.